Let's really get into this. And look, this isn't some abstract problem for our grandkids to solve. It's happening right now, today. In just the last few years, we've seen the military deployed to guard water tankers in Cape Town. We've seen hospitals in a major tech hub like Chennai forced to postpone surgeries. And we've seen actual martial law declared in parts of India just to stop people from fighting over water. These are not isolated incidents, you guys. They are massive, blaring warning sirens.
And this brings us right back to that central puzzle. You remember this from school, right? Water evaporates, it forms clouds, it rains, the cycle starts all over. The amount of water on Earth doesn't really change. So, what gives? How can we be facing a global crisis if the water isn't actually disappearing? The answer is, well, it's both surprisingly simple and incredibly complicated.
To really get our heads around this, we need to look beneath our feet. We need to talk about our planet's hidden savings account. It's a resource we've been treating like it's infinite, but, spoiler alert, it is absolutely running dangerously low. This is the story of our groundwater.
Now, this analogy is just perfect. Think about groundwater like a savings account that took thousands, literally thousands of years to fill up, one drop at a time. And we're withdrawing from it like it's a bottomless checking account with an unlimited overdraft. Sure, nature makes these tiny little deposits through rainfall, but we are making massive, massive withdrawals every single day. Eventually, that account is going to hit zero. It's just simple math.
And the scale of these withdrawals, it is just staggering. To put this into perspective for you, one single country, India, is pumping out a full quarter of all the groundwater used on the entire planet. NASA satellites literally show the water table in northern India just dropping year after year after year. This isn't sustainable. But here's the twist. The water coming out of our taps is only a tiny, tiny fraction of the real problem. You see, the real story of our water consumption isn't happening in your shower or at your kitchen sink. No, it's hidden in plain sight. It's in everything we grow, everything we make, and everything we buy. So let's step into the invisible and, frankly, enormous world of virtual water. So just think about this. To grow 1 single kilogram of rice, it takes about 2,500 liters of water. That's a huge amount. How about that pair of jeans you're wearing? From growing the cotton all the way to the dyeing process, that one pair of pants consumed around 10,000 liters.
And this one really illustrates the hidden cost. The phone that's probably in your hand or in your pocket right now, from mining the minerals to the final assembly, required over 12,000 liters of water. So you see, we're not just using water. We are wearing it, we're eating it, and we are literally carrying it around in our pockets. Now, let's see how this virtual water thing plays out as a national strategy. It's fascinating. On one side, you have India, which is celebrated as the world's #1 rice exporter. But think about what that means. They aren't just exporting grain. They are literally exporting their finite groundwater, shipping it away one boatload at a time. On the other side, you've got China. They've done the math. They've intentionally cut their own rice production, choosing to import rice instead. Why? Because they've realized it's a whole lot smarter to import virtual water in the form of rice than it is to create a water crisis at home. Two totally different strategies.
So if we're not actually running out of water, and the real issue is how we consume it, then what's driving all this? And here's the crucial point. This is not about nature failing us. This is a crisis of pure mismanagement. It's about our own systems, our policies, our politics, and our priorities failing us catastrophically.
Just look at this broken system. It starts with terrible policy. For example, in a lot of places, farmers get free or super cheap electricity. What's the result? Well, they run their water pumps 24/7 with absolutely no financial reason to save a single drop. This one policy is encouraging a massive overdraft on our groundwater account. And that's just one piece of the systemic rot. Then you've got pollution, corruption, political paralysis. It's a mess.
This line right here just perfectly captures the deadlock. When a problem belongs to everyone, it effectively becomes no one's responsibility to solve, especially when the right solution might cost you votes in the next election. But the consequences of this inaction, well, they're starting to spill way beyond national borders.
In the 20th century, nations went to war over oil. But here in the 21st, the most critical resource, the one that determines survival and power, is rapidly becoming water.
And this is not some hypothetical scenario. It has already happened. Let's just trace the events that unfolded in Syria. First, a devastating drought hits. At the exact same time, Turkey, which controls the rivers upstream, starts restricting the water flow with its dams. This combination displaces over 1 million farmers, who then flood into cities that can't support them. And what happens next? The resulting poverty and desperation become fertile recruiting grounds for extremist groups. A nation was destabilized and water control was a key weapon.
And some nations are playing this geopolitical game on a scale that is it's hard to even comprehend. This chart says everything you need to know. China has built over 98,000 dams. No, that is not a typo. As you can see, that is more than 10 times the number of dams in the entire United States. This isn't just about making electricity, folks. This is a strategy of absolute control over water resources.
And this is the grand prize. Tibet is the source of Asia's great rivers. It's the lifeblood for India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, and so many others. So by controlling Tibet, China essentially has its hand on the tap for a huge portion of humanity. They can literally create droughts or floods downstream whenever they want without ever firing a single shot.
Okay, but what about technology, right? Surely we can just innovate our way out of this, with things like making artificial rain and desalination. Well, as it turns out, it's not quite that simple.
Cloud seeding. It sounds like magic, doesn't it? But it's got some major flaws. First, you need clouds to begin with. You can't make rain out of a clear blue sky. Second, it's pretty inefficient, only boosting rainfall by a little bit. But most importantly, you're not actually creating new water. You're just forcing rain to fall in one place, which means another place down the line that would have gotten that rain now stays dry. It's pretty much a zero-sum game.
And what about desalination? Just take the salt out of the ocean? Problem solved. Well, again, look at the costs. It is incredibly expensive, and it's a huge energy hog, which is why it's really only an option for small, very wealthy countries like Israel. Plus, the process creates this super salty, toxic brine that kills marine life when you pump it back into the ocean. And of course, it does absolutely nothing for regions that are hundreds of miles away from the coast.
So, if technology isn't some magical silver bullet, what's left? Well, the real solutions are difficult. They're often politically unpopular, and they require a complete fundamental shift in how we value water.
So here are the tough choices. These solutions mean we have to shift from wishful thinking to hard policy. First, we have to start valuing water properly. That means metering what we use, making polluters pay, and changing subsidies so they reward water efficiency, not waste. Second, we need to actually enforce the law, making things like rainwater harvesting mandatory and cracking down hard on corruption. And finally, on a global scale, we have to build strategic alliances to manage shared rivers so that no single country can just turn off the tap for its neighbors.
We have to stop thinking of this as some distant possibility. The taps are already running dry in places around the world. And when a person's most basic need, a simple glass of water, isn't met, things like borders and constitutions and economies, they all start to become pretty meaningless. So the real question is, are we going to be prepared for that day?